Hey, Jay Leno. Hey, thank you so much for joining the show again.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You're coming with Arsenio Hall. It's going to be a big double bill, two late night legends. It's going to be at the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia on March 28th. Obviously, Arsenio hosted, I guess, what on Fox while you were on NBC all those years.
Right,
So,
right.
did you guys just stay in touch and decide to
We're
tour together?
competitors. Well, we've always been friends. I mean, I brought him out to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've always been friends. I mean, we were like battling each other, quote, during the late night wars, all that stupid stuff. Hilarious.
Yeah, it was you battling. You had NBC and Letterman was on CBS and Arsenio was on Fox, and you guys were all duking it out.
Right,
Uh,
right.
but how did the idea to do these? Are you touring the country together or just select dates?
Well, just so like comedians, you don't really go on a tour. It's not like you have a bus
Right.
and you have 300 dates you have to do. You just work when you get work. And Arsenio's got a book out. He's promoting a very good book, actually. It's funny. And so we're doing a couple of dates together and help promote the book. We're both stand-ups. We both like to work. And yeah, we've been having a good time.
Does the crowd get in and do the little, the big?
Yeah, they do all the Arsenio stuff. It's really funny. Yeah, yeah.
Well, they did that during your shows too, even when he's not there, right?
Well,
Yeah.
not really. No, that was Arsenio's. I give him that one.
That's hilarious. But yeah, gosh, I guess Arsenio what hosted, I think he was there 89 to 94. So he got that gig right after, Coming to America was 88 with Eddie Murphy. Hilarious. They
Right,
were doing all the different characters before
right,
Mike
right,
Myers was
right.
doing it in Austin Powers. Were you a big fan of that movie before you even got the show?
Yeah, they're funny movies. I like anything comedians do. I'm a big fan of comedy, so it's always fun. And when you know the people, it makes it a little more personal.
Exactly. All right. Yeah. I mean, Fox was kind of doing their trying to be a little edgy when they brought him in because I guess they had Married with Children and Simpsons and Living Color all around that late 80s, early 90s.
Right,
And then they
yeah.
brought him in and it did well. But you were holding it down at NBC. So that was teasing Arsenio. But how about your set here at the Hollywood Casino? What sort of stuff in your life are you riffing on these days or in the world?
Well, I mean, anything but politics. I think people say, you're not going to change anybody's mind. You're
Yeah.
not going to. I think people are tired of being lectured to. Rodney Dangerfield and I were good friends. I knew Rodney 40 years. I have no idea if he's Republican or Democrat. We never
Yeah.
discussed it.
Right.
We make fun of people of course, and whatnot, but it was never like, how do you feel about this issue in the Middle East?
Yeah.
No, no. It was just calm. And I think that's what people want especially when they go to a casino. All right, you want to get away from all of that and just have some laughs.
Right.
I personally like it when I don't know
Yeah.
an actor or a singer's personal life. I just like the music. Thank you. I'm not interested.
Right, exactly. And well, but then all right, so that said, so you're not going to touch on little political stuff then. So it's more what do you actually
Well,
riff on in the routine? Like your personal
might,
life, some
you
cars?
might touch on a little bit. Yeah, personal life, marriage. I mean, the usual subjects.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's similar to a late night monologue, I guess, but just sort of with stuff you've been doing on the road. So you get it down, you get it tight.
Right.
That's kind of the fun part. You tried to have a laugh every 6 to 9 seconds. That's about a good ratio.
Gotcha. Yeah. Do any self-deprecating stuff? Because you had a rough couple years. I remember wasn't there like a car fire and a
Oh yeah,
a bad fall? Like you're in the clear now, looks like.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. As for the next 5 minutes or so.
Something,
Yeah,
anything can
yeah.
happen during the interview.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. So, yeah, just a little bit of everything.
I love it. I love it. Well, we've sort of talked about sort of, your late night wars with Arsenio. It kind of went there naturally because you're touring with him. But I always like to remind folks sort of before you guys sort of all got into it, because we teed up Arsenio, but you were born what in Manhattan, just north of Manhattan in 1950. So who were
Yeah.
your comedy idols growing up? Were you always into cars and comedians?
Well, for me, I like Richie Pryor. I like Robert Klein. I enjoyed the comedians of the previous generation, Alan King and all those guys, but they were men born in the 30s or the end of the Depression, and life was tough and we ate dirt and, all that kind of stuff.
Uphill both ways.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Whereas, Klein and Pryor, they talked about subjects. I like Klein especially because Klein was like me, just middle class white kid, didn't have a gimmick. Parents weren't rich nor famous. So I looked at him for a lot of inspiration. He was always a big help. George Carlin too. George is always great. And
Genius.
comedy's pretty good. Comics really help one another.
Yeah.
I always watch these stupid TV shows where they show behind the scenes and the comedian is depressed and brooding. And
A
I guess
tortured soul.
that's right. I guess there are a lot of people like that, but most aren't. Most comedians get more work from other comedians than you'll ever get from
Yeah,
an agent or manager. Because when you're a comic, I can't play every club, every date, every day. So
right.
I'll say when I was coming, I every time I played a place, say, "Hey, you should take a look at this kid Seinfeld. He's pretty good.
Yeah,
He's really funny. He's clean. Blah blah, good. Oh, okay, well, check it out. And then they get a job and they thank you. And
yeah.
yeah, that's kind of, Steve Martin brought Johnny Carson in to see me. Harvey Carmen brought Johnny in to see me. I brought Johnny in to see Ellen DeGeneres when she was just breaking. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
You kind of pay it forward to the other comedians, and then they
Yeah,
help
I
you
think
back
so.
out. Yeah,
I
okay.
think, yeah.
All right. And then I'm pretty sure you guested you mentioned Carson. So you guested with Carson on Tonight Show for the first time in what was it, 1977?
Yeah, I was a guest. Yeah, I think it was May 2nd, 77. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Gotcha.
Uh, your first Tonight Show is like your first girlfriend. You don't really remember a lot. You just know it was over real quick, and that was
You lost your Tonight Show, Virginia. You remember it happened, but you don't remember it.
yeah, exactly,
All right.
exactly.
And then, so, all right, so you start substituting hosts in like 87, and then you took over in 92, right? So,
Right.
how big of an, I know there's been so much made of the Letterman and you rivalry and blah, blah, blah. But you taught him showmanship and he taught you wordsmith. That's what you said
Well,
last.
we were good friends. I saw Letterman when he first came to town, and I thought he was a brilliant wordsmith. He just used the right word, what phrase was the funniest. And I remember talking about that. And then he would say to me, "How can you be so confident on stage? How can you be so, And so we kind of borrowed from each other.
Yeah.
And still, my favorite time is my career is when I was doing Letterman, because that was the first show where I could really be myself.
As a guest, you mean, before you got Tonight Show, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you're on with Johnny, he's like an elder.
Yeah.
And I would also say, "Thank you, Mr. Carson." He'd go, "Call me Johnny." Well, when you grow up in New England, you don't call your parents' friends by the first names.
Right.
Hey,
Which
Jay,
is
this is
weird.
my parents in California. This is my parents, Bob and Agnes. How are you? I'm not going to call your mom. Yeah,
Come meet Agnes.
yeah. No, I'm sorry. It's just not the way it works. So Adam and I could go on and go, "Hey, Dave, nice tie," and pretend
Yeah.
to slap him around and do stuff like that.
Right.
And it really was a lot of fun. It was kind of like what Rickles
Yeah.
would do with Johnny. So that
Oh,
that was kind of my thing with Dave.
Rickles was a legend. But I guess the point is though, is you were so good as a guest on Dave's show that they were like, the NBC folks were probably like, maybe Jay should host this show after Johnny.
Well,
So
I think that's kind of what happened. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And was it a huge honor, or were you shaking in your shoes to replace a Carson? Because Carson, I mean, did it admirably. God bless. Thank you for all the laughs over the years.
I,
But man, when
I,
stepping in at first, that's high bar.
I'm not a nervous type guy. I was lucky. My career was like watching the hour hand of a clock. It moves slow enough so I can enjoy each stop along the way.
Yeah.
I have so many friends that come out to Hollywood. They'd audition the first week. They'd get something. Oh my gosh. Now they don't know which agent's a crook, who's trying to rip them off.
Right.
When you come to town and you start out, you go door to door, you begin to learn who's a good guy, who's a
Yeah.
bad guy. I mean, it was really quite beneficial because I would do a Tonight Show. That one went good, and the next one, yeah, that's okay. It wasn't as good as the first one. And you'd analyze it, and you'd see what they had to say, and then they get to the point where they realize, well, Jay's comfortable in this situation. So
Yeah.
I can't say I ever got nervous. The only time you get nervous is when you don't know what the audience is. It's some nights, something comes out. So it's a Christian crowd, so don't say anything. Well, how? I mean, how is it like TV PG? Is it movie PG? I mean,
Right.
when you don't understand the crowd, that's
Yeah.
that's when you probably get nervous.
Yeah.
But for the most part, no, it was always good. It was
Yeah.
always
And I mean, I've done a million of these, and now I'm talking to Jay Leno. I got to pinch myself sometimes.
good.
But for you, you've interviewed so many people. I would imagine the nervousness probably didn't happen in in a starstruck way because everybody's just people. They put their pants on one leg at a time. But was there anybody? I think
Right.
Sean Connery was at least the closest to being nervous.
Well, I love Sean Connery because the
Yeah,
great thing about Sean Connery was
yeah,
Sean Connery was not James Bond. Sean Connery was a longshoreman. He was the toughest guy. He would fight anybody at the
yeah.
drop of a hat. He was a longshoreman. He was third runner-up Mr. Universe 1953. So
Oof.
when you take this sort of tough gorilla and you put him in a Savile Row suit, oh, it made for like for women a sexy image, a manly man, but he
Yeah.
dresses, very sophisticated.
Yeah.
And yeah, Sean always made me laugh. But he's all coming, he go, Gee, what's the latest filthy joke going about, Gee? And I'd tell him, and he would laugh like a pirate. He would actually slap and he'd go, oh. He'd laugh like, he was like the loudest guy. And he's the only guy, whenever the Tonight Show had these little tiny showers that
Yeah.
nobody ever used. And he was the only guy that used the shower in the dressing room.
He
And when
actually showered. Huh?
he would get in there and he would sing, "Oh, Scotland!" And I remember once the newsman came down, the
Yeah.
guy, who's shouting, who's screaming in Scotland? I said, Sean Connery's in the
Oh my
shower.
God.
Yeah,
He's like shampoo, shaken, not stirred.
yeah, literally. No, I really liked him. He was a funny guy, and he was a real Scotsman, the most thrifty guy. Even when he made it as James Bond, he bought a secondhand. Aston Martin wouldn't sell him an Aston Martin
Yeah.
for a reduced price.
Yeah.
So he bought another car called the Jensen secondhand. I mean, he's making $1 million a movie. That's when nobody made a million. I mean, that's
No.
when $1 million
Million went
was.
a long way back then. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, no, he was fun. He was a fun.
Yeah. And not to
The
mention Indiana Jones's dad. Who knew? Bond.
and they're only
Junior.
4 years apart in age, so that's pretty good. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Don't call me Junior. That's great. All right. Well, yeah, that was one of your favorite guests from a past show. I just remembered in terms of one you really remembered. I'm trying to remember. I think you said one of the ones that was like a little more controversial, but you went was Hugh Grant after he was in, the a little bit of a scandal. What was it, like a prostitution or something? And
Yeah.
you told me that the way you would handle, remind our listeners how you would handle that. You always had a policy to go talk in the dressing room, so you wasn't like a gotcha question, right? You let them know,
Yeah,
hey, I gotta
I
ask you
would.
about this.
I always talk to guests, and I would say, "Listen,
Yeah,
I have to ask you about this.
yeah,
You can say no or ignore me, but if they're going to wonder why I'm not doing my job. So
right.
handle it any way you want, but I'm going to ask you the question.
Yeah, yeah.
And that always seemed to work pretty well.
Were there any other those other than Hugh Grant where you kind of where you're like, oh, I better go say something ahead of time to them?
Oh yeah, I
Probably
mean,
all the time. Yeah.
sometimes it backfires. I did so many Kathy Lee Gifford jokes. About her. Remember her husband had that affair,
Frank Gifford.
Frank Gifford, and I remember the joke she got especially mad was that, Kathy Gifford just found out there's no such thing as Tuesday night football. So
That's comedy because for a second I was like, I shouldn't laugh at that, but I can't help it. That is comedy, baby.
so one day I said, let's book Kathy Lee. And okay, she's furious at you. She doesn't want to come on.
She hates you.
I said, let me call her.
Yeah.
Okay. So I say to one of the interns, get me Kathy Lee's phone number. Yeah. Kathy Lee, Jay Leno. Hi, Jay. How are you? I go, oh, good, good. We like to have you on the show. I would be thrilled. That'd be wonderful. Thank you, Jay. I went, oh, well, thank you. Okay. And I give her the date. Okay, okay. We'll see you then. Click. So I hang up.
You're like, this might look
And then
okay.
I go into the booking room. And I go, well, maybe I should book the show because I just called her and booked her. And then Tracy, our producer, says, Jay, I just spoke to her. She says she's not coming on. She's still mad at you. I said, I just talked to her. And then she goes, no, I just talked to her. Oh, what? So I called the intern. Whose phone number did you give me? Kathy Lee Crosby? Kathy Lee Crosby? And I realized I had just booked Kathy Lee Crosby as the lead guest on a Thursday night after ER.
Oh my God. You're like, wait a minute. Where's Regis?
I mean, yeah, Kathy Lee Gifford hadn't been on since. That's incredible. Yeah, I'm thinking, what?
Wow.
Now I have to call and undo this and explain to
Should have asked the last name, my friend.
Yeah, humiliating. Very embarrassing. Funny, but embarrassing.
Well, I'm embarrassed now because I thought I was going to be interviewing Jay Farrow, but apparently Jay Leno showed up, man. All
I
right.
like Jay Farrow. Isn't he funny?
Yeah, hilarious. Great impersonator of people.
Something. Why he is not a bigger star, I don't know.
Let's
Because
from your lips to God's ears.
he has it
Let's
all. His impressions are. He
hilarious.
always has that little extra that makes the impression especially good. A lot of people can go, "I'm not a crook," can do Nixon or whoever it may be. But he catches some little part of the human voice or spirit of that person that really just sends it over the top. Yeah,
he's so great. He's great. I'm trying to think who else we've had. Oh, Frank Caliendo is great.
yeah,
Dana Carvey, of course, is just
Dana's the king.
hysterical. Everyone look that up in our archives. Dana was
Yeah.
freaking hilarious. But all right, well, so that was some of the guests that you've had on. But how about my listeners will kill me if we don't go into some of the famous segments. Jaywalking was always a really brilliant one to me. Do you remember
That
how it
was
came about, or if any famous bits from it?
Well, I mean, just talking to people on the street, and people always think we never used a ringer. We
Yeah,
never had somebody try to be funny because that really doesn't work.
those were
Because
real reactions.
yeah, those were real reactions. My favorite question was how was Mount Rushmore formed? And more than one person said erosion, which just so I would say so. It didn't only pick four presidents; it picked four of the greatest presidents. And you think that's just natural erosion? Well, isn't it erosion? No, no, it's carved. What?
The sands of time just happened to form Jefferson's nose
Right.
and Lincoln's and Ted. Yeah, that's. But they were serious.
They
Wow.
were serious.
How about headlines? Because I mean, you've done a million over the years. We love, and for our younger listeners, is when you'd pull up a newspaper. If podcast listeners might not even know what a damn newspaper is, but you'd
Well, the
see a
great thing
funny
about the
headline, a little bit of a typo or an innuendo they didn't mean, or
well,
any
the great
memorable
thing
ones.
about that was people sent them into you.
Hmm.
And of course, you probably go through 100 to get five or six, but that's okay because you had a lot to choose from.
Yeah,
And they were all real. And more than once we got sued for, our smiling staff is waiting to serve you.
yeah,
And they'd show a guy frowning,
yeah,
and then that guy would sue you because his career is over, just stupid.
yeah, yeah. It was. But do you have any memorable ones? Just like you gave a good memory of the jaywalking. Is there a headline one that stands out to you?
Well,
That's all.
headlines is good. The weddings were good too.
Yeah.
The really good ones are the wedding ones we couldn't use that were just so, oh my God, how does it even get in the paper?
Like, do you remember any of them? An example?
Well, a woman named Swallow married a man named John Cox, COX. I'm not even going to say what the headline said. It's just their two names. And then
Yeah.
they show her smiling, and you go, okay, that's not good.
That's a page turner. Hey,
Yes.
now we're back. We're following a through line of James Bond. That sounds like a Bond girl or something.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
that's hilarious. Yeah, headlines just great. Well, what do you probably get this question all the time, but I think it's almost as even more relevant now, like the state of late night today, because CBS said they're not renewing Colbert, and ABC there was that whole thing briefly canceling Kimmel during the Charlie
Well,
Kirk stuff, and then brought him back. But,
I don't think it's any fault of the shows. I think it's the fault of the nature of television
yeah,
itself. They passed a rule maybe 15 years ago where you could have after 11:30 at night, you could have 6 more minutes of commercials in
yeah,
an hour show.
yeah,
So now you're down to 40 minutes and you'd watch the monologue, then it'd be 6 or 8 minutes of
yeah,
commercials, then a little segment. And when you realize I can watch a celebrity do an hour interview off the cuff, totally uh, uncensored,
yeah,
without any interruptions, or switch over and see them do 8 minutes on a talk show.
yeah.
So I don't blame the performers for it. I just blame the nature of television because people don't want to
Yeah.
watch something broken up so much.
And now they're just playing for the little YouTube bite of it anyway the next day. They don't
Right,
have to watch it.
exactly.
But didn't I
Exactly.
see you say something supportive of Kimmel? And then before they brought him back, I think I saw you were
You
saying
know, I
stand up
thought,
for your other fellow comedians. So
oh yeah, yeah. I was just standing up for the right to comedians to make fun of whatever they want.
yeah,
I
which
mean,
they
the
should.
idea that you can't make fun of a politician,
Yeah,
yeah, that's part of what being America is. If you can't
yeah.
take it, don't be a politician, please.
Oh, absolutely. You roasted many over your time, from Clinton during that whole scandal. I mean, you roasted
Oh,
all of them. So you have to have thick skin in that chair.
well, yeah, it is. It is.
And you probably had a lot of presidents sit down with you too, right? On the show. It's not any memorable who was the most game to do an interview and who was maybe the most rigid of the presidents
You
you
know
did?
what's so funny? The Republicans are pretty much open for everything,
Mm.
and the Democrats are always, "Well, I don't know. I got to run that past my people."
Ah, okay.
Al Gore was so serious. Like we had a sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it. Okay, we all get, and then he goes,
Yeah.
I talk to my people, and they really
Yeah.
think it's not really what I go. Well, all right.
Yeah.
Whereas George Bush, you could make fun of him to his face, and he was fine, and he got it.
Right, right,
So
right.
yeah, it doesn't always go the way you think it's going to go.
Right. Do you have? I know we didn't want to get into politics too much because you're more of a center. Yeah, you've always struck me as a little bit of like an above the fray, like a middle of the road kind of a guy, you know. But I think I
Well,
have interviewed you. Sorry, go ahead.
I think socially conservative,
Yeah,
fiscally conservative, socially
socially
liberal. I
liberal,
guess
which
that,
I think most people could probably rally around if it was
I think,
presented right, and we didn't have
I
all of
think
our
yes.
cable news, yeah, extremes, yeah.
Uh,
But I guess what I was going to ask was, I've interviewed you a couple times at the Kennedy Center. You've gotten a Mark Twain Prize there. Do you have any thoughts on, we are a DC area station podcast, but do you have any thoughts on the renaming of it and all of that mess that has happened?
well, I do, but probably, I mean,
But you don't want
I,
to share.
I like going to the Kennedy Center.
Me too.
Put it
I
that way.
think no matter what your politics are, I don't think that change was necessary.
It was the Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
It's political to change it. It's not
Yes.
political because you change it. It just really, I mean,
Yeah.
it was set up as a memorial to a
Yeah.
former president.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
mean, so that's, yeah, yeah,
I kind of agree with you on that one.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, and I think it's gonna be the next year is gonna be called the Trump Kennedy Center Honors, but that would be like you being like from now on it's gonna be the Leno Kennedy Center Honors or the Leno Mark Twain Prize. I think that just is unnecessary. But anyway, I didn't want to go too much into politics, so but I will. It is a segue into some fun memories I had at the Kennedy Center with you. I think
Right.
I've interviewed you a couple times over the phone when you were playing there, but there were a couple red carpets there. What was the one? Oh, I think it was like a David Lynch, rest in peace, foundation on transcendental meditation or something. I think you were there
Oh,
for the
yeah,
TM.
I got a call from David Lynch in California. Jay,
Yeah.
can you do this thing in at the Kennedy Center? I said,
Yeah.
well, not really. I mean, I'm kind of, oh, it'd be a real favor. I really need some help. I'm setting up this thing here. And
Yeah.
um, when is it? Okay, let me get a schedule. Now I have to get a plane ticket, make reservation. Okay, so I fly to the Kennedy Center. I walk in, they're ready to go. I said, is David here? Can I talk to David a minute? Oh, David's exhausted. He went to Paris. What?
He's not even gonna be there.
He's exhausted. I left. I was working. I left a job to come in and fly right back. I was like, really? I mean, I actually laughed. I said, it's like the most show business thing.
Yeah.
Really, you're exhausted.
He invites you to an event halfway across the country, and then
Yeah,
he's too tired, and you're
he's exhausted.
bleary eyed, and you still showed up.
Oh, yeah, hilarious,
But I wanted to
hilarious.
mention that one because the big thing that came out of that night, a bunch of celebrities came down, you and everybody. That was when the thing that went viral. The guy Nick Tommy McFly and I were interviewing Jerry Seinfeld. You mentioned him earlier, and Kesha tried to hug him, and he stiffed her hug. Do you see that thing that went viral? Do you even
Oh
remember?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
remember.
Yeah, yeah, but I remember you were there at that event, so I wanted to ask you, what would happen if Jerry tried to hug you? Would you have stiffed Jerry?
Well, I know everybody has their own thing. I mean, I think Jerry's taken by surprise,
Yeah.
really.
No, I actually kind of agreed with Jerry. Yeah, he's been hilarious to interview a couple of times. He's like, I don't even know who that was. But all right, cool. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, the Garth Brooks thing, right? Like the week before COVID, you were there at the Library of Congress. I'm trying to tie in some of your other DC area appearances. We
Oh
were all
yeah,
shaking hands and yeah.
yeah. Well, Garth has been a good friend. I always liked Garth. We kind of gave him his break on the Tonight Show, and he kind of stayed loyal to us. So whenever he would ask me to do a charity event or something like that, I would always fly in and do it for him. And yeah, he's a great guy. He's a
Didn't
great
he
guy.
do your last show as well? He came back.
Yes, yes, he did. Yes,
Okay.
he did.
Now, was that the last one before the Conan thing, or the last one after you got it back?
I think it was the last one after I got it back. Yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right. Well, my listeners, you've addressed this before, and you've always done it very humbly and nice and great. So I wanted to ask about the Conan thing really quick. So, I guess you were moved to a different time slot, and Conan took over Tonight's Show for a couple months, and
Yeah,
then the
yeah.
ratings weren't doing too hot. And then NBC brought you back in and bounced Conan out, right? So I think last time you said it was just business, but you were worried you lost a friend at the time. You still sort of feel that way? Have you talked to him, or what's the latest?
No, I haven't talked to him.
Yeah,
It's business. It wasn't my deal.
yeah,
I mean, what had happened was I was doing the Tonight Show.
mhm,
They wanted to replace me with Conan. I said, okay. I
yeah,
agreed to it. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. And then Craig Ferguson came on opposite Conan, and he won a Peabody Award. And then the sucker called me and said, I think we made a mistake. I go, Jeff, this is not my problem. It's your problem. Okay. I mean, you guys want to have your cake and eat it too. You can't have both people.
mhm,
He said, well, how about this? How about you do the first half hour and Conan does the second half hour. I go, if you think Conan will go for that, fine with me. Well, he called Conan. Conan said no, and then he wrote his big letter,
Oh
People
yeah,
of Earth, or whatever. And that was pretty much where it was, But
I got
people
you.
always think there's some conspiracy,
No,
like you're planning all this.
yeah. No, it's in so many ways it's just business. But it was kind of sad because all of us in college that was we'd watch you and then we'd stay up late with Conan and all those crazy characters and Max Weinberg, in the year
Yes, me
2000.
too.
Conan's hilarious, uh,
Yes, yeah.
but and so are you. So it was just kind of sad to see how that all went down. So, are you at the point where you're kind of you're pro and engaged and you're tired of guys like me asking you about?
No, it's
Here's another
fine.
Conan question.
Whatever, ask whatever they want. I mean,
Yeah,
it's 10 years ago.
yeah,
I
old
mean,
news.
it's like asking me
Yeah,
about Eddie Fisher and
yeah,
Debbie Reynolds.
yeah. What
Yes,
are your thoughts on
they
that?
broke up almost 60 years ago. How do you feel about that? Well, 60 years has gone by, and I
You're
feel
like, I
it's
haven't really thought about it much. Well,
excellent.
I'll tie it back around. This month is the 1 year anniversary of Conan getting the Mark Twain Prize last. There you go. At the Kennedy Center. And you got one in 2014. So yeah, two Twain winners. There you go. That's how we bring it back around to
And
your
never
stuff.
the twain shall meet. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the Twains, yeah. I don't know if they're having one this year or not. That again, that thing is all up in the air. I hope the Kennedy Center can come back for sure.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, you're going to be at the Hollywood Casino in Charlestown. You, Arsenio, that man, those are headliners on their own. Together, you got to come, everybody.
Thanks. We'll see you there.
See you, Jay. I appreciate you joining us again.
Thanks for taking the time.
All right, see ya.